For myself, like many others, Mario has always been a part of my gaming life. From my early years with the NES and Super Mario Bros., all the way up to Super Mario Odyssey with the Nintendo Switch, I've always had wonderful adventures with Mario and his friends. 35 freaking years. That's a long time in video games. Take into account Donkey Kong and Mario as a character, Mario has been around for almost 40 years. But one thing has always been true. Mario has found consistent success as a video game franchise for all those years. From the 2D games all the way to 3D and beyond. This past Friday, Nintendo released Super Mario 3D All-Stars for the Nintendo Switch, featuring Super Mario 64 from the Nintendo 64, Super Mario Sunshine from the Nintendo GameCube, and Super Mario Galaxy from the Nintendo Wii, plus a music player featuring all the music tracks from all the three titles. It poses as a pretty impressive collection of Mario's 3D adventures. In today's video, I'm going to deep dive into all this collection has to offer. Look, it's no question that each game is a solid Mario title, but I'm going to go over both the great and maybe not so great things this collection brings. All the fine details. In this review, I'll be dividing it up, going over each game, every controller option, every little thing I think you should be aware of before getting this collection, or even if you already got it. So let's dive... Wait, no.
Let's go!
Yeah, that's definitely better. Let's get at this. When you start the game up, presentation-wise, you're greeted with a pretty simple menu that features the three titles and the three soundtracks. Each time you boot up this menu, it'll play a different music piece from any of the three soundtracks. If you stay in the menu, it'll keep cycling through different pieces. The music player for each soundtrack is pretty simple. Lots of tracks here. If you play one, it'll end up going to the next one when that one ends. Again, pretty simple stuff here, nothing too crazy. Pretty simple layout. I just wish Nintendo did something more with this presentation. This is as basic as it gets. I would love to have seen some art gallery or some art assets. It would have been really easy to see some scans from the box art or manuals here, and we really didn't get any of that. We just get some basic things, and that's it. You do get some language options, which is really nice. Each game includes a variety of language options, which is nice to see in this collection. So if you end up getting this in any region, you'll be able to play it in any version, all the way from Europe to Japan and beyond. Beyond that, that's pretty much what you get with the presentation. So let's just dive into the games itself. First up is the Nintendo 64 classic, Mario 64. The game itself is not the exact game we got back in 1996. This one is actually the updated Japanese version. And pardon my pronunciation on this, but it's the Shindu Pak Taiyo version. It features all the changes that were included in the international version, which is the version we originally got in 96. It fixes the backwards long jump glitch, adds rumble support, and makes Mario face the screen after grabbing a tree. And speaking of rumble support, that's really interesting to experience with this version of Mario 64 for the Switch, as it was something that US gamers didn't experience back then. It's a neat little addition at the very least. The game itself is shown in 720p in both handheld and docked modes, and while that's definitely improved from the original N64 in visuals, it's nowhere visually improved as the Sunshine and Galaxy ports in this collection that we'll get to later. It also doesn't have widescreen support either. It's in standard 4x3, and it's a bit disappointing, especially since in both emulation and the famous or infamous PC port that we got earlier this year that fans made, it's been proven that Mario 64 can support higher resolutions and widescreen support. Nintendo did make a few modifications, mostly just textures updated like Mario's cap and a few others that were replaced with some clearer textures for the port. The only other notable difference are a few adjustments to his jump sound effect, as well as Mario's taunt when swinging Bowser far away. We get to hear bye-bye rather than the so long, King Bowser, or just here we go in the original Japanese release. Controls-wise, Mario 64 controls pretty well with both the Pro Controller and Joy-Cons. Mario's movements are pretty solid, albeit sometimes when reversing you get that dreaded half circle movements. Camera movement is done with the right control stick instead of C buttons. Keep in mind it does not feature full analog control, which will probably bother some people who are not used to this little quirk. It's probably going to be the biggest adjustment to playing this game for some people. Other than that, I really didn't have any problem controlling Mario, especially when compared to the N64 original. And that's pretty it from Mario 64. There's definitely some disappointment with Nintendo's choices in terms of features for this title. Out of all three titles, Mario 64 probably deserved the most attention in terms of adjustments and features and improvements. And we only got a few minor tweaks here. We pretty much got the game slapped on an emulator for the most part. And that said, I can't take away from the fact that the game is a solid Nintendo 64 title and a solid platformer. It has aged far better than most Nintendo 64 games. It's a solid Mario adventure, full of lots of stars to get, 120, and plenty of challenge. It's pretty neat to have the game portable-wise for on the go. And if you've never played Mario 64 before or haven't played for a very, very long time, it's definitely worth playing here in the collection just to experience again. I just wish Nintendo did more with this title. It definitely deserved more attention than it got. By contrast to Mario 64, the second title in the collection, Sunshine, looks remarkable with the adjustments that Nintendo has done. In docked mode, it is shown in full 1080p and has true widescreen support. Handheld resolution is 720. Sunshine has always been a wonderful looker of a title, even back in 2002, but here, Sunshine looks amazing on the Switch and really pops. Control-wise, the game controls even better when compared to using the original GameCube controller. I was able to perform movements and spins much easier on both the Pro Controller and Joy-Cons, as opposed to the GameCube controller. Though I must say I definitely preferred using a Pro Controller than Joy-Cons, just for the fact I'm pretty afraid to be that rough with the Joy-Con's thumbstick. See, Sunshine requires a lot more rapid movements with the stick compared to the other titles, that spin jump. And considering I've replaced my left Joy-Con's thumbstick 3 times already this year, I'm not looking to do it for a 4th. There's also some changes from the original's layout. Since there's no analog triggers for the Switch, the Flood Cannon's abilities have been split across 2 buttons. Running Squirt is the ZR button, and Stop and Squirt function is now the R button. The Y button is now the Pick Up and Dive button, and B and A buttons are both the same. They allow you to jump and swim faster. The Mario Cam mode is now activated by pressing in the R stick, and that's probably the only change I'm not all in for. I'd rather a dedicated button just for ease of use, especially since the GameCube original had a dedicated button for it. That would make it faster, especially for stopping and aiming. Other than that, I do find using Flood's abilities a bit easier on the Switch versus the original, just because I don't have to deal with those analog triggers anymore. But I know for purists, they would really like to see some GameCube controller support. And for some reason or another, Nintendo decided not to have full GameCube controller support with this title, which doesn't make sense, especially since you have other games on the Switch like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that fully take advantage of the GameCube controller. I would love to see an update just for purists' sake for GameCube controller support down the line. Hopefully Nintendo does that, because there really isn't any reason why Nintendo shouldn't do that. Otherwise, it's a great game. You'll hear a lot of people say it's the least favorite Mario game. But don't let that detract you from playing it. There's a lot to find here, lots of secrets, lots and lots of challenge. It is, by far, the most challenging 3D Mario. It's worth playing to experience the adventure though. You will die a lot, be warned, but if you're looking for a good platformer, Sunshine should be on your list. Even if you didn't like it then, give it a go now. I found myself enjoying the game actually a lot more, especially since it felt pretty darn good with the Pro Controller. And it definitely helps that Sunshine looks the best it's ever has here on the Nintendo Switch, so it's worth playing. Now that leaves us with Super Mario Galaxy. And I'm going to get this out of the way. In my personal opinion, this game is the best of the trio. It was amazing then, and it looks even more amazing now. The title always looked good in the Wii, but now with a 1080p docked, 720p handheld, and true widescreen support, the game looks literally like it was made for the Switch. And controls wise, it is fantastic in all three modes. Pro Controller feels great, Joy-Con support feels really natural, and both modes feel a lot better than actually using the old Nunchuck and Wii remote. The biggest change is how the pointer on the screen is now handled. It's done with motion control, but requires very small movements with the Pro Controller or Joy-Con. It feels natural and requires no pointing at the screen. Actually, it became so natural that I was able to move and gather bits all at the same time and at a faster pace than even with the old Wii Remote and Nunchuck. At any time you can recenter the pointer on the screen with a press of the R button. It's ingenious, it's natural, and I completely love it. Handheld mode works well enough too. Pointing commands are done via the touchscreen and are responsive. And while it's not as ingenious as maybe using the motion controller setup that they have for the Switch, Pro Controller, and Joy-Cons, it does do the job. And let's not forget the dedicated spin button. Pressing the Y button at any time causes Mario to spin, and it's a lifesaver and a welcome addition compared to the original Wii version. If you wish though, you can still shake the controller. Shaking the Pro Controller, Joy-Cons, or even the Switch itself in handheld mode will all cause Mario to spin, just like shaking the Wii Remote in the years past. All of these changes, along with an excellent Mario title, make Galaxy the best of the bunch. It's worth the price of the collection alone. This is Mario's third 3D outing, so Nintendo's advancements and improvements that they learned from the previous two Mario titles are shown in this game. It brings in an adventure full of secrets, excellent grade A platforming, and lots of replayability. You can't miss Mario Galaxy, especially since it feels like one of the best platformers for the Switch available right now. Out of the 3 games available in this collection, it'll probably be the title I go back to the most. I just had a blast playing through it, and all I want to do is just play more Mario Galaxy and discover every single secret and star available for the thing. I'm so glad this is actually on the Switch. And there we go, all the things I've noticed from playing this collection. I've played about 35 hours or so far, and have really enjoyed myself. All the highs and some lows. I think the collection is solid, if a bit bare bones. Mario 64 needed the most attention and got the least from Nintendo here. Galaxy makes the collection and stands out as a gorgeous fun adventure that seems like it was destined for the Switch. And Sunshine looks like a redemption story here, with its graphical improvement and controller options, and it's definitely worth experiencing as it's the best it's ever been too. If you're a platformer fan, it's definitely worth getting a collection. If you're a Mario fan, it's worth getting. And if maybe you've never played these games before, it's worth getting too. Nintendo should have done more, but you shouldn't miss out on this collection. You shouldn't miss out on these games. These games are some of the best gaming has to offer from yesteryear. Now about that Super Mario Galaxy 2, Nintendo. If you enjoyed the deep dive I did today, check out my other videos. Consider subscribing. I do 2 videos each week. I also have a Discord, as well as stream on Twitch 4 days a week. Links to all that is in the description box below. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.